We've got us a college football national championship game, and there's a team there none of us ever thought we'd see. I'm Barry Tramel of the Tulsa World. He's Tom Shatel of the Omaha World Herald. This is the Tom and Barry Show. We go back to a time when the world was simple, when Oklahoma and Nebraska were lording over college football, along with some other names, but never before was one of those names Indiana. And we've both seen Miami at the top. We've never seen Indiana. Tom, where does this story rank? When, a long time, we've both been following college football now pretty close to 60 years. Where does this story rank on just amazing?
Well, we have seen a little bit of this before with in our neck of the woods with the K-State Wildcats. Now,
Yeah.
I remember I covered those horrible inept teams in purple in the 80s. And, to watch them, but that was almost a 10-year rise. That was like
Slow.
they got to 98 in St. Louis and they were up on A&M. The dominoes were falling. They were going to go to the national championship game and play Florida State out in Arizona if they could beat A&M, and they were up on them. And all of a sudden, it all fell apart. Sir Parker, wherever he is today, he scored a touchdown to beat him at the end, and that was as close as Snyder ever got. But that was called the greatest turnaround ever, and we never thought we'd ever see anything like that again. This is 2 years now. I got to ask you, Barry, as a observer of college football and a historian, Snyder had JUCOs, but this is a transfer portal. Is this easier now?
Well, it's easier to do it quickly, I would say, right? I mean, Bill Snyder, no one before the portal, before NIL, nobody could do this. Nick Saban didn't do this. Nick Saban, who was it? He lost to Louisiana Monroe his first year at Alabama. Let me tell you what our good friend Curt Cignetti didn't do last year. He didn't lose to Louisiana Monroe. He was kicking everybody until they went 11-1, lost to Notre Dame in the playoff. So it was impossible to do what we're seeing now. So you've got to grade it in different ways.
Yeah.
But I would also say this: the microwave avenue available to Curt Cignetti, it's also available to everybody else.
Right.
And nobody else has turned things around like this. Nobody else. Listen, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, whoever we want to say, Clemson, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, doesn't matter. Nobody's beating people like Indiana's beating them. It's one thing. 15-0 is one thing. I looked it up today, Tom. If you count all the playoff games of the 4-team era and the 12-team era and the championship games of the 2-team playoff era and the showdown bowl games for a national championship, which there weren't many, but every once in a while we got a legitimate winner is the national title games. If you throw all those into a pile, 2 of the 7 biggest blowouts have been achieved by the Indiana Hoosiers. So this is not a team for 2025. This is a team for the ages. I mean, they did it to people. They didn't catch Tulane. They didn't catch, Texas Tech, Alabama, and Miami. I mean, Alabama and Oregon.
Yeah.
What they're doing is mind-blowing.
I mean, we had 24 hours last weekend where Indiana clobbered Oregon, and the next day Nebraska went into Assembly Hall and clobbered Indiana basketball. And now Nebraska's number 8 in the country, undefeated. So, everything's upside down. But it's, Barry, I don't know. I was trying to think of underdog winners. Miami in '83 was an underdog winner. They came out of nowhere. Nobody ever heard of Miami Hurricanes.
That's right.
Until this showed up in '83. The next year, BYU won the national title. But BYU had been really good over
Hmm.
a long time. And I don't know, Miami, maybe there's a little bit of that right now with Schnellenberger, had been there a few years, but it took him a while to get that kind of a team. This is 2 years, and the guy's probably going to win a national championship, and then he's going to go in the Hall of Fame in a basically for 2 years' work. I mean, he's going to stay and probably do more. But holy crap! What I mean, this is I've never seen anything like this.
No, we've seen the little guy rise up. You talked about Kansas State. To me, Wake Forest has been to an Orange Bowl. They may have won it. I can't remember.
Right.
If you win an Orange Bowl at Wake Forest, you're a miracle man. Jim Grobe, I think, was the coach. Um, and we've seen Washington State go to a couple of Rose Bowls. I mean, Washington was in the old days in dire straits, and a rags to riches story is Oregon. When I was a kid, Oregon stunk.
Yeah.
They weren't any good at all, and they've
Well,
been consistently excellent now for a generation. But
um,
from this just complete, and to go from hapless to Godzilla, it's like a drag racer, zero to 80 in 4 seconds. And
well,
I,
and
I, I salute Signetti and everything he's done with the Hoosiers.
as I've said, uh, don't try this at home, your ads, because Indiana. I mean, nobody was going to hire Signetti, a 60-year-old, 62-year-old guy from James Madison. Wow, yeah, a Saban assistant, but nobody was going to. No fan base would have accepted that. Nobody. Uh, Indiana won the lottery and didn't even know that they bought a ticket. But you know who else won the lottery? Big Ten Conference.
Yeah.
They're sitting back going, "Wow, this is kind of fun. We got we got national championship type team from Indiana." I mean, they aren't even thinking about that, and now the Big Ten looks like it's going to dominate for a while because Kurt Signetti, I mean, he just wants to kick ass and go have a beer. He's going to keep doing that. And then you've got Oregon, Michigan's going to be better. Ohio State, USC, if they ever get, Lincoln Riley to figure out defense. I mean, Big Ten's in great shape. And the funny part is, there's not a lot, as we've seen in the SEC, as you see it all the time, Barry, and hear about it. The Big Ten doesn't really have a lot of pride. And I don't even know what Big Ten pride is. The Big Ten doesn't even know what it is. I mean, Oregon doesn't care about the Big Ten. SC, they're not Washington. They're not rooting for Big Ten pride. They don't even know where they are half the time. Except they're in an airplane. Nebraska doesn't have Big Ten pride. Penn State probably doesn't have it either. I mean, the Big Ten is Woody and Bo and Bobby Knight and that kind of, Tom Izzo and so on and so forth. So the Big Ten is like laughing at the SEC right now. The SEC people are losing their minds. What can we possibly do better? We have to tear it up and start over. The Big Ten's not even trying to do this.
You know what we did not hear in this playoff, which is now 13. I think we played, let's see, 12 games. We've had, no, 11 games, 10 games. We've had 10 playoff games. I'm thinking NFL. We've had 10 playoff games. You know what familiar chant you have not heard yet? SEC, SEC. That's gone. I mean, when they've won, they've beaten each other. I mean, Alabama beat
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Ole Miss beat Georgia. Otherwise, the victories have been over Tulane. I mean, you can't chant SEC at the Green Wave. That's just not proper Southern etiquette. So, I mean, they've even lost their anthem of SEC, SEC. So, yeah,
There,
it's
there,
crazy.
there's no
Now,
big there is no Big Ten chant unless it would be ka-ching. The sound of a cash register.
yeah, MBA, MBA. That's what. Get
I
yourself a
mean,
master's from Michigan or Purdue. Yeah, let's
but
go. You know what's crazy, Tom? This is January, this is second week of January. We are about 6 weeks removed from the High Commissioner, Greg Sankey of the SEC, with a straight face saying he thought his conference deserved 17. He thought he had 7 teams that deserved to be in the playoff. 7.
Now,
In case anybody had, that's actually the maximum. Because you got to have 4 other champions in. So um,
the
it it's nuts that people
this week
that
they're
mindset.
this week when all the great minds go to the championship game and the commissioners and ads or the people are talking about the format of the playoff, and they're everybody pretty much wants to go to 16. But now the holdup is Big Ten wants automatics, SEC doesn't. um, has this season changed how the SEC should feel about that? Shouldn't they want automatics?
Well, maybe they should. I don't know. The SEC, part of their stance against it was not that they thought it would not maximize their team. I mean, they want to protect their championship game.
Right.
The deal in Atlanta, that's
Yeah.
that's holy ground to them. So somebody's going to have to come up with a plan, which some people have. I don't know if it's acceptable to the SEC. So that's part of it. Um, I think there is still a sense of pride and ownership of college football by the SEC, even if it's not warranted on the field, that they don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to buy into a Big Ten plan. Um, if George from Pigeon if George from Pigeon Forge mentioned it on the Feinbaum show, they might say, "Hey, that's a great idea. Let's get behind it." Coming from Tony Petitti, then no chance. So, I don't know. I actually think the SEC is a little bit stronger ground with that one, because I don't know why we're wanting to redo this pie every 2 years, every 1 year. I mean,
Yeah.
let's go to 16 and see what it looks like, and maybe we need to go to
And
20 or 20. Maybe, who knows? But
and why wouldn't the Big Ten want to take their chances and maybe get 5 in? I mean,
yeah,
the way they're going. But um, I just think that's a great point you made, because the SEC right now is probably looking at the Big Ten like, the last thing they want to do is let the Big Ten have their way again. You
right.
know, the Big Ten's controlling college football now. They the ACC and Big 12 aren't on the Big Ten side at all. They don't want that. Maybe they should probably want automatic bids for them. The Big 12 just got one, and the ACC just got one, right? I
Oh,
think so.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
wouldn't they want to have a deal where they can get 2 or 3? But um, I understand it's probably not going to happen. So we're going to be stuck on 12, and that's okay too. I mean, other than these 12 we had, there were probably a couple in this pool that didn't belong. So I'm not sure we needed to add right now.
Yeah, there's all kinds of questions. Even expanding to 16 is going to bring all kinds of issues.
Yeah.
So I don't see how you could immediately, map out a plan to expand to 24. But it is high drama and high entertainment to see the SEC eat some crow after, we were talking off air. This conference rivalry thing is relatively new. I mean, we were both kids when in 1971, when Nebraska, Oklahoma, Colorado go 1, 2, 3 in the Big Eight. I mean, that's not 3 out of 16. That's 3 out of 8. You finish 1, 2, 3 in the final AP poll. And the Big Eight was, this part of the country, we've never been a bunch of, from Nebraska down to probably the Red River. We've never been a bunch of self-promoters. We've never gone wholesale on marketing. We've never stood on the mountaintop and yell, "Hey, we're the best." Probably should have in 1971, but they didn't really do it. And
Yeah.
eventually, the SEC mastered the art of marketing and self-promotion, and to their credit, won a vast majority of national championships over a long period of time, and sort of validated some of those claims, but clearly now it's not working. So,
Well,
um,
yeah, I agree. And for us, the in the 70s and 80s and even the 90s, where the SEC didn't have much to really crow about. A couple times in the 90s they won, but um, nobody, college football was never about who the best conference was. It's always been about dynasties. And we went from Nebraska, Oklahoma to Miami and Florida State.
mhm,
Um, then we went into the 90s. Nebraska kind of took over. But then here came Florida and Florida State, and more Miami, and then USC with Pete Carroll, and then Saban had the latest greatest run. Um, and it started right about the time Saban and the Florida had Urban Meyer, and LSU was winning, and the SEC, the marketing and the media really bought into it. That's the difference between SEC and other conferences. Is the media? It's a regional sport. It's a regional
right.
brand, and
Provincial. Yeah, it's very provincial.
yes, it's we got a chip on our shoulder. We're in the South, and people make fun of us or whatever, but we're going to kick your butt in football. And by God, they did a great job. And you know, coming into the Big Ten in about 2010 or 11, I noticed that's a game the Big Ten wasn't playing. Jim Delaney made a couple of comments about, well, our grade point's better than yours, and it was don't go there, Jim. Nobody cares. Um, but the Big Ten always, the old Big Ten wanted to be the Big Ten. The SEC wanted to be number one. Big Ten just wanted to be libraries and fight songs and all that stuff. So, um, and now I don't even know what the Big Ten is anymore. But it is funny to see SEC people are really upset about it, and but I don't see a way out. They just brought in a new wave of coaches. Nobody knows how they're going to do. Auburn, Florida, these are flagship places, and we don't know how those new guys are going to go. Lane Kiffin, we think will win, and then he'll leave probably. Alabama doesn't look like they're going to be Alabama for a while. Tennessee, whatever Heupel's doing. The SEC kind of needs the Red River. They need OU and Texas and A&M.
That's exactly right. They need that Western Front to stand up and do some things. And frankly, Texas won two playoff games last year, and Sooners made the playoff this year. But this is a league that has very good football, but all of a sudden, you know NIL. Some people say means now it's legal. Other people other people have started paying their football players. To what degree that is true, who knows? But I can tell you this: there's a lot of parity in the SEC, and there's a lot of parity throughout college football, and we've seen it with the greatest story of at least the 20th century, 21st century, maybe the greatest college football story ever told, the Indiana Hoosiers. Um, they've gone down for next year and gotten the TCU quarterback, Josh Hoover. I've seen him play, good player. His sister is a sports reporter in Oklahoma City at the ABC affiliate. So everybody around here, we love Hannah. We follow Josh Hoover. We cheer him on. Now he's going to go try to keep the Indiana dynasty going. Maybe he can, but it's a case of the talent is just spread out. I thought it was great the lack of five-star recruits. Indiana has none. I mean, they've got really good players, but the NFL draft is the NFL scouts not salivating over Indiana the way they are Miami, Ohio State, Georgia, whoever. And just the Signetti story, much like as you mentioned the Bill Snyder story, shows that a guy that knows what he's doing, whatever the elements are in play in terms of ever how you can sign players, ever how you can recruit, whatever you can do, he's doing it and doing it well. I think it's going to be a fun game. I actually think, Tom, the Sooners have experienced this. We talked about that. And the Cornhuskers have experienced this. They have played basically a national championship game on Miami turf, literally Miami's home stadium. The old Orange Bowl. Now they play over at Joe Robbie, Hard Rock Stadium. But we have seen the Sooners and the Cornhuskers have to win a road game to win the national championship. I don't know if Indiana's going to play a road game. I think that stadium could be rocking a ton of red, a ton of crimson. And, Miami not have a big fan base, a bunch of bandwagoners. If the Dolphins are
Right.
good, they get on it. If the Hurricanes good, they get on it. But let me tell you, Indiana people are committed and they are invested. We've seen them take over Atlanta. We saw them take over the Rose Bowl. I don't know why they can't take over South Florida. I don't think this is going to be in anything close to a home game for Miami.
I agree, and I've seen that before. So have you. And and this stadium, the Orange Bowl had a certain. It was an old, you know, kind of a. It kind of shook, and it had ghosts and incredible games, and it made it was like its own person. It had personality, and I mean, it was a weapon for Miami. It really was, and but this Miami's never played for a national title in this stadium. This is the first time that they played for a national title, and so that'll be interesting, I guess. But no, Indiana people will be everywhere. Um, for guys like us, it'll be a little familiar to see all that red down there, but they're. I think Indiana. It's just perfect for Cincinnati. There's one more thing that he can't do. Well, it's Miami's home game. I guess you're not going to win. It's one more thing for him to um, and but he crosses across the field. He's got another guy who doesn't like to smile either.
Yes.
Mario Cristobal's kind of a bad dude. Tough guy, old Hurricane lineman. Um, it, it's really an interesting, matchup in that sense. But I just and it's not a game of sometimes these national title games you've got superstars all over the place, and there are really not a lot of superstars in this one. Mendoza, the Miami kid, is certainly a superstar in this one, and um, you know Carson Beck is a superstar, but it's just two really well built football teams
Tough. Yep.
colliding,
Tough
and
teams. Tough teams, not fancy teams. I mean, not
it's really intriguing.
here's here's what I'm going to say. I mean, to me, we rarely have seen, and that's one of the problems or one of the issues is we've not. It's only the second year of a playoff with extended rounds, right? I mean, we had 12 years, like 12 or 11 years of a 14 format. The 12-team format means you get to watch more of these teams and they progress. Miami's already played 3 playoff games.
Yeah,
All 3 they could have lost. I mean,
yeah,
10-3, 17-14, whatever the score was in the shootout with Ole Miss the other night. But 3 tight games that go down to the last minute. Let me tell you what's not been important to Indiana's 2 victories in the playoffs. The fourth quarter. I mean, the game's over. And it's clear that Indiana is the best team in America. Doesn't mean Miami can't win. Doesn't. I mean, Nebraska was the better team in '83 when Miami won. Miami was the better team in '86 when Penn State beat them. So it can happen that we have an upset, but I think that's what it's going to take. I think it's going to take a big upset for Miami to win this game. They're going to have to play better than they played. Indiana's going to have to drop off. I don't see it with Kurt Signetti riding shotgun on the Hoosiers. I just think it's a fun story. And before we go, Tom, quick note on the quarterback portal. Had a
yeah,
couple landings. Your man Dylan Raiola lands at
yeah.
Oregon. I mean, the Ducks generally know what they're doing when identifying quarterbacks. So if I we assume that the job's going to be open, um, don't know. Dante Moore is expected to go to the NFL draft. If he does, it's Rayola's job. If he
That's
doesn't, Rayola will sit a year. Do you expect Rayola to do well in Eugene?
I think this is an interesting case because Dante Moore, okay, can he make more money by staying in Oregon? Well, obviously the NFL can pay him a lot of money, but you know, if and these guys rarely have the right representation, the right voice in their ear. But if you go to the Raiders and the Jets, you may wash out. I mean, what was that? The BYU quarterback who went to the Jets.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever heard from him again. I mean, um, you know what I'm talking about. But I
Yeah,
mean, you go to the wrong team, and they don't have no plan for you. They just throw you out there without an offensive line or any kind of support or plan. Your career is over. So maybe it behooves him to come back. But any case for Dylan, uh, it's if he is going to wait, and we don't, Nebraska, we will believe it when we see it. He's bounced around so many times, but if he does decide to, he's going to redshirt behind Dante Moore. That's an incredibly mature decision for him, from a kid who's bounced around a lot, and it would probably be very good for him. Uh, there's no hard feelings here. Nobody's mad. Nobody. It just people assumed he would leave because Nebraska's in a position right now where they're not Oregon. So if he wants to go to the NFL, you go to a place that has the offensive line built, that has the system, has the receivers, the coaching. You can, you know. So, but what you don't want if you're Nebraska, you don't want to become a triple A. You don't want to be developing
right,
players to
right,
send to the big leagues. You
right.
want to be the big leagues. So I think this might be just a special case. But you know, um, I think everybody in Nebraska is fine. I don't think anybody thought he would stay the whole time anyway. So, and they do play Oregon the next 2 years. So they
Oh,
go to Eugene next year, and they come to Lincoln in 2 years. So, a lot of columns to right ahead.
now that's right. And the other big name school seeking a quarterback, LSU, looks like they got Sam Levitt, transfer from Arizona State. Really good a year ago, not quite as good this year. Been hurt much of 2025, but looks like Lane Kiffin got himself a quarterback. So all the quarterback openings and the quarterback prospects seem to be marrying up. We've just about filled all those slots. So the free agency boom is about to subside, at least for this window, for this season. We'll see. But
Yep.
I know this. What we see in terms of the portal, nobody got excited last year when Fernando Mendoza decided, you know what, I'm going to go from Cal. I think I'll transfer to Indiana. And
Right.
what we got is a Heisman Trophy winner of the best team in America and one of the best college football stories ever told. I'm looking forward to Monday night. Tom, this has been fun. We'll do it again next week.
Yep.
And we will.
Sounds good.
You're headed to Miami. Congratulations. Football Writers Award. Going to honor you down there. I think that's fantastic. So, congrats on that. Enjoy the trip.
Appreciate it, sir. We'll see you next week after the game.
Tom and Barry Show. We'll be back next week.